Hey everyone, so year in review video. Look, lots of people have called 2020 a dumpster fire, and that's not really fair because a dumpster fire, though it's smelly and gross, would burn out really quickly. I mean, I would lean more toward tire fire because not only is it smelly and noxious, kind of poisonous, they burn a whole lot longer. I mean, what was 2020? This garbage year. I mean, who do you think you are, 2020, rolling in here with your Australian wildfires, death of koala, sing tear gas, and another, just wear a mask and wash your hands. I don't know why that's so hard. You should be washing your hands after you go to the bathroom anyway. Second wave, I guess we all need to learn to surf, huh? Murder hornets. Are you kidding me? Who decided to put Carol Baskin on Dancing with the Stars? She ain't a star. She a lunatic that probably fed her husband to a tiger. And then in the US, we have wildfires because apparently we don't tidy up our forests or something. I dissent. I mean, she was amazing. And John Lewis too. Like, no. Virtual school. Now, with all that being said, you know, I have a lot of hope for 2021, and I learned a lot of things in 2020. I've heard a lot of people talking about how they're so hopeful for 2021. And you know, I do have some hope because a lot of things have happened in the last few months that have made the future look a little brighter. But it was a hard year. It was hard for a lot of us, and not just the crazy things that were happening, but you know, our separation from each other. This is the second time I've kind of recorded this because the first time I said I wasn't feeling very hopeful, but I am. I'm feeling hopeful, and I'm feeling grateful for the things that I learned in 2020. So this is a little bit of a year in review of some of the things that I think everything I've made in 2020, and some plans for the future. So 2020 started out, I'm gonna go with February because honestly, I cannot remember a single thing about January. Not a single thing. I attended a heritage sewing and skill building weekend. Those are always fabulous. I made this beautiful fichu and a pocketbook, which was really, really an interesting project, and I started another one, and then I hadn't finished that because I was gonna embroider it and I lost interest. So once I made the fichu, I decided that I needed a matching cap, so I made the cap. A friend posted on Instagram that, you know, she was going to make a stress dress, and I think I've shared before that hand sewing is one of those things that really, I find soothing, and creating and making, just generally being creative, is something that helps to keep me balanced. So I made this, then I made the petticoat. I covered this hat, straw hat with silk. And in my professional life, my work is planning events and programs to get people into our museums, because we have several. And so my work is usually coming up with hands-on activities, especially for children, or things that keep people engaged while they're learning about history. And that's really what I love, is I love helping people make connections to the people and events of the past. Which is why I gravitate toward clothing. We all wear clothes, so it's a common ground. In March, I went to work planning stuff. We got word that we were going to close for 2 weeks, so I thought, okay, you know, I thought it was going to go on longer than 2 weeks. We left at the end of March, I think the 20th, and then we didn't get back into our buildings until June. And then through a lot of the summer, I was only able to plan small things, if anything, in person. And so it was really hard. I missed the people. I missed field trips. It sucked. But I proposed virtual kind of program, a series of 4 videos in which I recreate a piece from our museum's clothing collection. It's one of our oldest pieces. It's this gown from the 1790s, and I was able to like figure out how to kind of draft it and remake it, and it was a project that I'm really proud of. And so it kind of gave me the courage to do a couple of things, because not only did I, examine the garment, record the garment, draft the pattern, make the dress, I filmed and made the videos about it. Like, that was 100% me. It gave me the courage to do this, to make this channel. And that's been really helpful, because when my motivation is 0, I know that I have a deadline to meet with a video and I need to have something to put out. So it keeps me either sewing or learning. I know that's good for me. And then, what did I make? I don't remember. Oh no, I don't remember anything. I was doing a lot of embroidery, because they were short projects that I could finish in a day or 2 and release some stress. So a lot of them are rude, but made me feel better. In the early fall, my concentration was on making this suit, and though it is not the best fitting thing that I've ever made, it's not the best made thing that I've ever made, it's one of the most meaningful projects I've made in a long time. And it wasn't the making of it, it was going out. I live in the suburbs, but in the city there's a square. About half a block away is the county offices, and that's where people were dropping off their mail-in ballots and going in and doing their emergency voting and stuff. And so I took some vacation time, total about 12 hours, and went out for 3 days, 4 hours per day, and with my sign, and stood out in the corner. And it wasn't really until the last day that I even understood why I was doing it. This year being the 100th anniversary of the first presidential election that women were allowed to vote in, the week before Election Day, people were asking me directions to the courthouse. They wanted to know where they drop off their ballot. Lots of people wanted to take selfies, and lots of people walked by and gave me dirty looks. And there were a couple of people that asked me how they could register to vote, and it was too late, and it broke my heart. And so I'm like out there, and I'm like, why am I doing this? If it's too late for people to register, what is this all about? I had an epiphany standing out there, and it was that if you are voting, you are part of something really big, that you're a part of something bigger than just this election, even though this election was pretty big. And if you aren't ready to vote, why not? Because it's important. People sacrificed and fought to earn this right. So if you're not ready, why not? Newspaper guy came down. So I was in the newspaper, and he told me about his wife would really love to come join me, the journalist that talked to me, and can anybody come? And I said, sure, anybody can join me, but we're not having signs for one party or the other. This is just about encouraging people to vote. And so, granted, the women that did join me were from the Democratic, the local Democratic office, but they were delightful women, and they were just out there, like they brought their own signs, and they were really cute, and they were wonderful. And it was quiet when I was by myself. I had some men who would compliment me on my outfit, which I thought was really weird. When there were 6 of us on the street corner, that's when we had people yelling things at us from the windows of their vehicles. There was one truck that drove around the block 10 times, which started to make me really nervous about the 5th or 6th time. So that was a pretty significant project, one that had lasting effects. I think after that I was a little burnt out. I did some more smaller embroidery projects, And then I started work on the wool gown, which is done. Oh, I forgot. From the brown dress, which I've like called the penny dress from work, that pattern that I've made, I blew it up and made one for me just with shorter sleeves. In the summertime, when we thought like at first that it was okay, I had some friends over and we had a tea party. Probably shouldn't have done that. It turned out okay, but like from then on I was kind of like only outside things. So I made that and I was like, that's actually one of my most favorite things. So sorry for the pretty blah 2020 recap, and if you've stuck with me this long, thank you. But I want to express, like, I am gaining renewed energy for the hope and the potential that 2021 has, and for the things, the projects, and the things that I'm going to be doing in 2021. So to get started with the year, in January, we have one more video left, and we're going to take a look at vintage machines and kind of go through some pros and cons of purchasing a modern machine or a vintage machine, because buying a sewing machine is a pretty significant investment. And so we'll take a look at that, because sometimes we can get vintage machines cheaper, but is it worth it? That's the question. So we'll be doing that in January. February's videos will be about the Foundations Revealed Challenge that if I can make the deadline, we'll be entering. That project I will be working on all through January. I moved the release of those videos to February because I'm not like ready to kind of reveal what my project is. And so I think by February I'll feel better. So I'll be working on that. The funny thing is that today I realized that what I had been planning on doing, and I drafted a pattern and started a mock-up, just wasn't going to work because I just wasn't paying attention. So I've retooled my ideas, and what I've come up with now I'm much more excited about. It'll be a project that I'll enjoy, feel comfortable making, and learn new skills. Even if I don't make the deadline, which would be very sad for me, I'll still end up with a project that I'll be proud of. So, positivity. I'm actually kind of a pessimist, so it's really hard for me to be like, optimism, woo! Anyway, throughout 2021, I have my sewing and my closer look videos planned, and what I'm trying to do, and it doesn't always work out, but what I've tried to do is be like, here's a closer look and here's a sewing project that goes together. For example, we'll be taking a closer look at a 1920s dress, and though I won't be making that 1920s dress, I will be working on a 1920s dress. So those two things will go together. I have a 1890s outfit that we'll take a closer look at, and then I will be sewing an 1890s outfit. So hopefully we can make more connections that way, though it's just not always possible because I will run out of collection eventually. I do have some remakes coming up in the spring. I think I'll be doing the 1860s gown from a previous video. So 1920s, 1860s, we'll be taking a look at wearable vintage, how to choose vintage pieces to add to your collection, and which ones to please not to. And how to kind of rehab vintage pieces that we think might be too far gone. So hopefully those videos be useful to others. So one thing you need to know about me is I'm kind of weird. And if you haven't figured that out by now, though I do kind of play it down in public, so maybe you haven't. But when I was a kid, and I don't even know how old I was, maybe like 10, maybe a little younger, there was like a year that I watched White Christmas every day, and my mom started to think there was something wrong with me, and she got really annoyed by that movie. However, to this day, I still love White Christmas, and if you know the movie very well, there's the scene where Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney's characters are mad at each other and they're at a party, and she has on this beautiful green velvet dress. Well, I found perfect green velvet to make that dress, and so that's going to be part of the fall and winter content here. And not only that, but I'm planning a trip to Kentucky, if everything works out, to visit the Rosemary Clooney House Museum where that dress is on display. So that should be exciting, a little costuming field trip. Lots of things in the works. Another thing that I'm going to try later in the year, because I'm not ready right now, will be to post every Monday, though we'll alternate between sort of 15 to 20 minute longer videos and like short 5-minute like quick videos of like, here's a thing, learn a stuff. That's the year, that's 2021. And if you'd like, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy these videos, give me a thumbs up, and let me know what you're planning, what you're hoping to do in 2021. Because you know what? We're gonna be all right.